Hi everyone, a little bit of a different video today. I'm going to be repairing my friend Cloud's piano. He's done music for the channel before. You should check him out everywhere, there's links in the description. He asked me if I could try fixing it because some of the keys have broken over time. He got it second hand and the previous owner didn't treat it very nicely. He's told me there's some rust on the inside. Apparently it's a very good piano. I wouldn't know, I do not have a single musical bone in my body. True story, I screwed up playing the triangle before. I got it on my bench, I tested the keys and marked the ones that were broken, and then I proceeded to open it up and have a look inside. There was a lot more screws than I expected. After I did finally get inside, there was a lot more screws, but eventually I found my way to the PCB that has all of the buttons on it. I spent quite a lot of time going through the board and seeing how bad the damage is. It looks to me like somebody spilled coffee on it, and coffee is actually acidic, so it caused quite a lot of damage. A huge amount of the solder joints were completely corroded. I did do some continuity testing and the liquid did actually corrode the traces, which is not difficult to fix if it's like one or two, but this was a huge amount of them. Whichever one I scraped, it just ended up being a rusty, corroded mess. But as I was cleaning it more, I realized that some of the conductive buttons were actually fully coming off the board, and that's not something I can fix. After talking to Cloud about it for a bit, we decided the best way to proceed would be to get a whole new PCB for this. It's still better than trashing the whole piano. Looking around, there was some places in America doing brand new PCB boards, but with delivery that would end up costing like £90, so we both said no to that. Luckily, after some more searching around, we found one on eBay for about £25 with delivery, so we immediately got that one. So whilst waiting for the PCB to arrive, I decided to completely strip the piano down and give it a very thorough cleaning. Whilst I fully opened this up, I could see the full extent of the previous owner's damage to it. There was a few more spots that had water damage. There was a couple spots on the actual motherboard that had water damage, but luckily it didn't hit anything important, so I just cleaned it off with some isopropyl alcohol. At some point somebody also spilled a candle on this piano, so I ended up having to clean all that out. Luckily, it mostly came off in one big chunk. Some of whatever was spilt on it actually got onto the speaker. It's not going to cause major problems, but you can see how heavily rusted it is. I gave it a very good clean. I took the case of the piano and actually gave it a full rinse in the shower. There was some spider webs and nasty stuff in there, and then dried it off. I also cleaned all of the individual keys. Luckily, they break apart into multiple parts, probably so it's easier to injection mold. So I took them apart and gave them a very thorough wash, making sure I got all the wax and coffee stains from it. After everything was cleared, I went back to the PCBs and gave them another thorough cleaning with isopropyl alcohol. There was a little bit of water damage on the middle PCB, but I didn't think much of it. This will come back to haunt me later. And a day later, the new part arrived, which meant I could start piecing it all back together. I gave the new part a full once over, making sure it's exactly the same part I need. After everything checked out, I plugged it all in, and very enthusiastically I started piecing it all back together without testing it. So I put back the motherboard, the speakers, I put back the keys, I connected it all together, I put all the screws in, and then I tested it and realized that different buttons didn't work now. So I had to take it all apart again and investigate. I tracked it down to a broken trace on the middle PCB. It goes from the left side of the PCB to the middle PCB and then into the main ribbon cable which goes into the motherboard. Well, the trace went from the connector to one of the diodes, and scraping it was very corroded. I ended up just fixing the trace with some wire and it worked perfectly. From there I started to piece the keyboard back together again. This time, slowly, testing each part as I went, and slowly but surely everything came together and it worked perfectly. So I gave Cloud the go-ahead to come over and pick it up. To finish it off, I did put a little mellow sticker on the inside where nobody will ever see it. All in all, this project took about 6 to 7 hours of diagnosing, cleaning, and piecing it back together, which isn't too bad, and the only real cost was the £25 we had to spend on a new part. Personally, I think it was worth it in order to keep this thing out of landfill, but let me know what you think, and I'll catch you in the next video.